Hello, welcome to Star Wars Spelt Out. I'm your host, Josh Chapman. And today it's Thrawn Stars. It's episode 4. And we've got two of the regulars here. We've got Catherine and Kneen. Hello, Catherine.
Hello. Yes. We're all ready to talk.
We are all ready to talk. Kind of. Matt was making fun of me in the intro, as he usually does. So, of course, I fluffed the intro. Hello, Matt. How you doing?
Hello, Josh. Hello, Catherine. We are 1 week closer to Thrawn.
Yeah. Wow. Some stuff went down this episode. It certainly did. What was it called again? Fallen Jedi?
Fallen Jedi.
Yeah.
So was it another one of those? We're going to be all over the place here. So we're going to jump into talk about the things that happened at the start of the episode. So is the idea is that a misdirect title straight off the bat? Everybody thinks we're talking about Baylan, but it's actually talking about who turned up at the end of the episode?
Or is it just a complete, she fell off the cliff?
I didn't even think of that.
So on the nose. It's like, hey, is it this? Or actually, she actually fell.
That's actually very clever. I would not have thought that.
Well, that's why I'm here.
Look how happy you are today. You are noticeably happy. I don't know whether it's just because
Sandy went to sleep.
Yeah.
We had the podcast.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that. I mean, not to say that you weren't happy last week, but you did have a few technical mishaps last week, so I could see the frustration on your face. If you had to see the edit that I had to do in order to get your track on,
it would have been disgusting.
Well, you had
4 or 5 different tracks and stuff.
Well, you had the track at the back. The last 20 minutes was okay, and then the first half I had to take you from the backup track, but then I had to cut around all the ones from the other tracks because obviously if I keep everybody else's voices, it double tracks because I used everybody else's voices. So I had this little it was not how I like to podcast. I like to be in and out. You know that.
I'm sorry, but I have a feeling I think it was the England connection that sort of.
Don't
blame Andy. Don't you blame Andy? You should be glad he was there to save for your incompetence.
Why was I getting kicked out all the time? It's never happened before when it's just the Aussies. I'm just saying. Right. Love you, Andy. Not blaming you. I'm just saying. I don't know. It was too much for Zencaster.
Could be. We'll take that up to maintenance. But. What a good episode. Let's not beat around the bush here. I mean, I'd said last week that last week had been the best episode of the series. This was a cracking episode, and I think I said at the end of last week, I really hope it's just not them trying to get off this forest thing and nothing really happens, and maybe at the end they get off. So like stuff happened, and the story really propelled.
Yeah, stuff happened, and I think we've seen. Apart from, of course, your man Mohl, we've seen everything in the trailer, I think. We've seen...
Except for Thrawn.
Your man. Except for your man, yes.
And he is coming down the hyperspace ring tunnel. Or the I don't know, what do you call it? The captain station of the hyperspace ring. I think that'll be the first 5 seconds of next week.
Oh, you reckon do you think he'll just be waiting there, just kind of there tapping his foot with his watch on going, right, if my calculations are correct?
Well, I don't think he's maybe first couple of minutes then.
Or maybe they'll just start the episode and it'll be what's going on the other side. Like we'll get a bit of backstory of what's been going on. It's just been Ezra and Thrawn sort of playing cards for the last 20 years or something.
Maybe.
Go fish.
Bit of go fish, bit of snap, bit of Uno. Ezra believes in picking up after putting down, and Thrawn doesn't believe in picking up after putting down. And there's just been this 5-year Cold War standoff of rules.
It's going to be weird. Like, I mean, they can't have just been hanging out being mates.
Do you think?
No.
I don't know. Well, do you think that they kind of parted ways? They just keep a safe distance from each other? Maybe Ezra just hangs down the bottom half of the ship. Thrawn hangs down the top ship. Were they the only people on the ship? I can't remember. Were they literally the only two on the ship? Everybody else abandoned ship.
Well, Ezra shot a lot of stormtroopers, and there was like Death
Do you
Troopers
think if they
face-
got trapped in space, they had to eat the dead stormtroopers? That's how they bonded. They're like, well, it's year 2, and all the backup food's gone, Ezra. All that's left to do is to eat the
Stormtroopers for lunch.
Yeah, they've had to leave them out and they've had to tie them to the back of the ship in cold space to keep them frozen and cold. And then they're just going, well, I guess it's time to eat the stormtroopers.
Who goes first? You go first. I go first.
Yeah. Would you like a leg, Ezra? That's the flashback I want to see. So where did we kick off this episode? We were back on. Basically, they were trying to repair the ship
On Cetos.
You're so good at remembering those names and stuff. I would have. You could have given me 3 years, and I never would have guessed the name of that planet or remembered. But basically, everything on the ship is kind of stuffed. So they're pulling out wires. It seemed weird to see Lieutenant 10,000 like lying on the ground. Did anybody else find that weird? Have we ever seen a Star Wars droid like lying back on the ground like that, doing something in live action?
Yeah, not on purpose.
I mean, he's like 3PO like being dragged behind. But
oh, this is such a drag.
But as far as one of them sort of underneath on the ground sort of doing stuff.
No, I'm trying to think that. Not off the top of my head. Nothing
on my memory banks.
Yeah.
Do you reckon he's a puppet at all, or do you reckon he's all CG?
He's pretty good. Like I was thinking that during today's episode of he looks very there. Like so there must be some kind of combination there. That's something I'd love to see the behind the scenes of. To see how they did that, because I thought the interaction was good and he looked really good. So they've really upped their droid game, I think.
I don't know. I mean, K2 wasn't real.
Yeah, and he
but
looked great.
That had movie budget, though, not tele budget.
But this show's got a lot of budget, though.
Yeah, but I think that the droid on Morgan's hyperspace ring, I think that's a person in a suit. Like, that's a suit droid.
Yeah, whenever they can,
that's just thing pulling levers, going yes.
Yeah, but he's just kind of walking down, and then there's a bit later on where they're kind of rumbling and stuff as well. It's sort of rock'em sock'em robots.
Yeah, but when he had like four hands come out,
obviously
style.
that is but yeah, I don't know. So yeah, they're kind of basically trying to fix the ship. It's not going particularly well. The walls are kind of closing in. They're realizing they're probably going to start running out of time soon. And there's a bit of a discussion between Ahsoka and Sabine, going, "Oh, we've got to get this map, but hey, if push comes to shove, if we can't stop this properly, we got to wreck that map, which might mean we got to leave Ezra stranded with everybody else. So just be prepared for that."
It's a big foreshadowing of the difficult choice Sabine will have to make.
Yeah. Yeah. But I have to say, I felt more Ahsoka this episode. Like there were moments of lightness and a smile, which made her feel a bit more like Ahsoka to me, which is good.
Yeah, she's definitely warmed up the last couple of episodes. I think she's kind of hit her groove.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely, there's no like, oh, let's make a copy of the map, then destroy the map, and while we have our copy, and when we can go save Ezrix. No, all or nothing.
I think she sort of sees the gravity situation. Like they've got nothing at the moment, and they have everything. They've got the means to travel, the map, and they're ready. They're ready to go, and we're like, fucked. We've got no ship.
It's become more of a
nothing.
Yeah, it's become more of a stop them mission than a get it for ourselves mission.
Yeah.
And I think that was sort of the point that Ahsoka was trying to make. It's like, hey, look, we're just about stopping this from happening now, basically.
And why? I mean, I know the meta of why Ahsoka said heir to the Empire, but, why is she calling Thrawn heir to the Empire? Because he wouldn't, I mean, he's, yes, a Grand Admiral, but was he that far up the chain of command? Is he he the only Grand Admiral
Only.
possibly, or Moff left?
Well, I mean, he's so powerful that his return would rally all the broken fragments of the Imperials to rally behind one cause and become pretty powerful again.
But was he powerful?
Yes.
But no,
this
is the thing in the books, he wasn't powerful. Yes, he was a Grand Admiral, but he was disliked by everyone else because he was a non-human.
But he was a man with a plan, and they're not really they're a bit of a rabble at the moment.
They're a schmozzle. They'd rally behind. He's exactly what they need to sort of get going again.
Okay. All right.
They'd leave all that prejudice behind.
Yeah.
Well,
have you seen the First Order?
While they're winning, while they're winning, they probably go for it. Like, all right, let's go around. But I mean, it's interesting because they keep talking about, and especially the stuff with Baylan as well. You know, so when they sort of face off, she's sort of like, you know, what are you getting out of all of this? Like, what's the deal? Like, what do you want? You're talking about power, and you're sort of going, well, you know, you got to break it down to build it up again. Which is always feels like a little bit of a step around without being too clear. But is he basically just going, I want all sides to be chaotic again, so I can carve out my own, you know, I can sort of rise to ascendancy here, or has he got something more? Is there something more to it?
He's a very ambiguous character. Like, you know, you can see the empathy he has when he's talking about having to kill Ahsoka, and you know, you can feel that sort of not the good in him, but like you can see that he's Jedi training there. And then there's a line later where he says, "Hope, I lost hope a long time ago," which sort of suggests if he can find that hope again, he could become good. I don't know. I'm getting a real he's not fully dark, but he's not fully light. He's leaning towards the dark, but he's not 100% all in. Yeah. He's just all about himself and getting the best deal for him.
Now we know that. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when they were doing the map thing and all the rings and stuff are going around, I went, cool. This is the map. It's not that stupid world between worlds thing. We're not going to have to worry about that. Okay, good. That's, you know, this is what this is, and it's not alluding to everything else. And then obviously at the end, as far as we know, unless it's just another arty way of showing whatever, Force connections.
Oh, no. That is the world between worlds.
Yeah. So that means that's back on the table. So is it possible that Baylan is that is actually what he's after? Is he trying to Indiana Jones it? Have we won Mikkelsen off? Is he going to try and undo, you know, crush stuff to start over? Is he trying to save the Order? Is he trying to, you know, kill Anakin Skywalker before he, you know, all this sort of thing? Like, does he know about this and this is the means to doing it?
I don't think so. Maybe, but I have a theory. But let's save it for the end.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Yeah, I'd love to hear how non-rebels watchers react to World Between Worlds at the end, because we at least know, okay, that's World Between Worlds. Whatever our opinion on it, we know what it is. I can't remember it great because I haven't got there yet, but on my rewatch. But yeah, non-rebels watchers are like, well, what's this?
So how did she get off a cliff into a white line in the middle of space?
Well, because she goes into the last time when she fights Vader in the chamber, and we turn out that Ezra pulls her into the World Between Worlds, and that's how she gets out. Is this another situation where she's supposed to be dead and she's been rescued and pulled through a thing again? But is it Anakin who's done it because he's hopping around the World Between Worlds? Is it just a vision of Anakin? Is it Ghost Anakin? Like, what are we talking about here? Is this how you get around
my theory, Josh?
Is this how you get around not having Anakin speak to Luke, because it's not actually Ghost Dead Anakin? It's actually whatever. It's some other Anakin. It's a manifestation or something. Is it?
What if the World Between Worlds is that sort of place you go to when you die, and then because he says a line. Well, obviously, we're going here now. This is Anakin moments after he's just died in the World Between Worlds. He says, "I didn't think I'd have to wait this long to see you." He's pulled her out of there into the World Between Worlds again, like Ezra did, and we're going to see some hell of a flashback next week. Just like, you know, Ezra looked through Kanan and that pivotal moment that saved Lethal and Kanan's sacrifice, we might be going back to the prequels.
I would actually prefer
just to look.
Yeah, I'd prefer if it was a fake out, that maybe it wasn't Anakin, it was somebody posing as Anakin to trick Ahsoka or something. I don't know. The Anakin Skywalker was in this episode too, if anybody hadn't noticed, which happens at the end.
Next week is Dave Filoni's episode, so I'm going to be fully Australian. It's going to be a corker of an episode.
So we'll double back. We'll double back around to that. But essentially, Ahsoka and Sabine. Oh, actually, and I just might mention. I'll just throw this in. I told you this the other night, Catherine. You know this story that I had an engagement party on Saturday, and I had my relatives and everybody come. Catherine came along as well, which was very nice, and some other friends of the show who've been on before. Dale and Matt and amongst them, and my cousin Angus, who is an actor who's been in a bunch of stuff, couldn't make it, and he called me up from Sydney just to wish me the best and blah blah blah. And he's a big Star Wars fan, he's been on the podcast, and he was just talking about Star Wars, and he goes, a friend of mine is on the new Star Wars show. And I said, oh really? He's like, yeah, she's lived next door to me, she's playing Sabine. And I went, oh really? He's like, yeah, I've forgotten her real name. But he said, yeah, no, she's awesome. She's, she's been training. She's a trained martial artist and blah, blah, blah. She does this. And there's big plans for her. And she says she's got, hopefully a bunch of stuff coming up. And I said, well, they're doing the movie. I think Sabine would be in that. He's like, that's what I heard. So here's the connect. There you go. I'm going to have to try and maybe we can get her on the finale. Maybe I'll kick you off, Matt, and we can get the actor who plays Sabine to come on instead. So, because we can't have three, obviously, as you said, because of the technical difficulties. So someone will have to go. So, so there's the connect. So a shout out to. I'm sorry, I don't have her name in front of me, but I know she is Australian, obviously, and
Natasha Lou Boroditso. Come on, Josh.
There you go.
Maybe you should get off. No, you can't get off.
No. It's all. And
thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on the show, Sabine. Whatever your actual name is.
Oh no, I could do a little bit of research if I need to. So basically, they go off and they say, "All right, we got to face this problem head on. We're going out there to track them down." Oh, sorry. Before that, they get busted. So the droids, some of the droids find out where they are. They turn up to try and stop them. They don't last very long. And there's some good sort of Mando Jedi moves going on there. Do we all agree there?
Yeah, good fight.
Droid fight as well, as we touched on before.
Yeah, droid fight. Hoyang, bashing some heads. I do like droids just punching each other in the head. You kind of go, well, does that have the same effect? But anyway, all look good. Good fighting. Like Ahsoka and Sabine working well together, as Hoyang pointed out, of stay together, you're better together. And then, Ahsoka running.
Yeah, it does feel weird that they need so much convincing, really. You think that they're both two grown adults. You think they could see past this stuff. Yeah, we'll get onto that later, I think, as the episode goes on. But they do go and say, all right, we got basically to tackle this problem head on. We can't wait for them to come to us. We're going to get out there in the forest and we're going to hunt them down, which was quite cool. Then, do we cut back to Hera then?
Yeah, we see the ghost. She's on. Ghost with once most. A rebel, always a rebel. That's from the trailer.
Yep.
So we're in the Carson Teva verse. So Carson has appeared in all of them now.
He's like
it's not the Filoni verse. It's the Carson Teva verse.
He's like the guy from the Avengers. Was it Agent Coulson? He's like the Agent Coulson of this thing. He's the guy who pops up in everything. Who'll have to die to bring them all together.
No. He's such a big dork as well. I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, yep, Hera basically goes, I'm sick of waiting around. I'm getting in the ghost. I'm taking my kid. I'm taking some X-Wings with me, and we're going to go investigate this thing head on, which is good. Proactive of her. Probably left it a little late, but...
It's pretty funny. I saw a whinge on one of the Ahsoka forums or something saying Hera would never wait for permission to do it. She would 100% go, this is not the Hera from Rebels, blah, blah, blah. And this week, I'm guessing that person will be awfully quiet.
Well, he's like, she didn't do it quick enough, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so, they all take off. And still no Zeb, though. I mean, he was a pilot with the crew. Seems weird. Now it just feels like they're holding their powder for something. It feels like that would have just made... I mean, I know some of those X-Wings did blow up, so maybe that's why you don't do it, but he was in that crew.
Yeah. Wait, just let Dave have his episode 5. It's gonna be 70 minutes of cameo.
70 minutes? You think it's
70 minutes? 72 minutes with credits, I reckon.
So it's going to be all prequel flashbacks and Rebel crew assembling.
And Clone Wars and Resistance. It's going to be everything.
Wow.
And wolves. There'll be some wolves.
There'll be wolves. You'll see
cowboy hats. Everyone's in hats. Cowboy hats.
It's going to be epic.
So that was cool. So they had. I did like the little sort of. It was good to see a which one's Greedo? Not Nemoidian. Is he Nemoidian? Is it
the Rodian?
Rodian.
Yeah.
I'm well off. I'm struggling today. Good to see a Rodian pilot. I was all about that. I always like the Rodians. So they
first one to die.
Yeah. Well, they're easily. There's a whole bunch where they came from.
I think Hera's in a bit of trouble now. It's all good and well to have a breakaway mission, and it goes well, but have 3 people die on your watch. On your watch is not a.
Well, at least you can be like, hey, man, I was right to, if we'd gone when I said, we could have stopped this properly rather than me having to go rogue and go out there. But essentially, Ahsoka and Sabine, they run towards the spot where the map is charging up and getting the coordinates downloaded or whatever they're doing. It's like the old, the USB stick copying over the thing. You get the progress going.
Yeah, the old progress bars of uploading or downloading.
Yeah.
On the old dial-up.
Just on the old dial-up. it was a bit slow. It was like trying to download something in 2000.
Very, very complex hyperspace coordinates. Come on.
Yeah, that's very true. But they do get caught up halfway through the way with is it Marok? Shin and Marok? Marok?
It made me laugh that after these weeks of people speculating who Marek was, saying, oh, it's Ezra, oh, it's dude from Fallen Order.
It's Starkiller.
Dude, it's Starkiller. It was air. It was
it was a big green fart.
No,
it just could have like
it was smoke, which means he could be Snoke.
Ooh. So was it just green magic? Was it just Death's sister green magic animating somebody who was already dead kind of thing? Was that basically what we're vibing here? And that's all just don't even ask too many questions.
That feels like it.
Pretty much nothing.
That feels likely because I'm trying to now picture stuff in Clone Wars where, the Witches of Dathomir like reanimated or gave power to, people or whatever. And that feels very green, smoky.
I think in the first Fallen Order game, you go to Dathomir, and I think you fight sort of animated, half-dead people,
smoky people.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that's in. I'll have to go back and double check the game tape, but it's not in the new one. It's in the one that came out a few years ago. So, yeah, basically, Ahsoka made short work of that dude. And there was a bit more of a double. There was a return fight between the ladies in the other match.
Round 2, but can I just say, did you notice Ahsoka's going through the various fighting styles? Like you saw she had the one-handed form, whatever it is, and then she had the Anakin style thing. That was there for a reason.
Mm.
Yeah, it was far more. I don't want to say slow and methodical, but like methodical. These are the forms of different fighting than what was in the prequels. So it sort of reflects a bit what has come even later on when you think about the end of Darth Maul in Rebels and those type of things.
Yep. Yeah, and the one between Baylan and her later on was very sort of considered and very... It was basically like a chess game rather than it was really just a sort of a move against move sort of thing, but we'll get to that in a second. So they basically fight up, and Ahsoka makes pretty short work of Mr. Green Smoke guy, and he sort of... Although the other Shin would seem quite upset by that. It seemed that she took that quite personally. I mean, she's always kind of pretty angry, but
Yeah, there was a definite reaction, not just a, oh, damn it. It was a, no.
I know it was. I kept thinking, for some reason, I was watching, I haven't watched the whole movie, but for some reason, Scott Pilgrim versus the World clips had drifted into my Instagram algorithm. I think I showed Olive the trailer or something because something came up and she was wondering what it was. And I don't know how well you know Scott Pilgrim versus the World, but there's a scene where there's a character called Young Neil and he starts dating Scott's ex-girlfriend Knives, and she gets in a fight and she gets hit so hard that it like the color comes out of his hair. This whole bit returns to the camera. He's like, "You punched the highlights out of her hair." I kept thinking that was like what she was doing. Like it just felt like it was a real. She was so outraged, but that was very cool. So there was the face-off again between Sabine and those guys, and Sabine held her own pretty well. And there was a very nice moment where she tried to use the Force, which was very cool.
Fake out with
another Filoni fake out where he's like, I feel like he's Filoni's being really clever. I feel like we'll put him a rock and we'll see all the Star Wars fan go berserk over who he is, and then I'll pretend like maybe Sabine is Force sensitive and watch all those people go ballistic. And she that was a good fake out by her.
This episode managed to do a lot of stuff. I mean, we've seen all this stuff before, obviously. It's a lot of Star Wars tropes, lightsaber fights, all that kind of stuff. But it all kind of had a little spin on it, or a little sort of way of looking at it that was a little bit different, a little bit more interesting than something we'd seen before. I thought they did that quite well. That you kind of gone, oh yeah, that was a little bit different. That was a neat little trick there with the handgun and all that sort of stuff. And then she basically just kind of did like the Batman trick. She sort of like threw the smoke down and ran off. I was just waiting for like the smoke to clear for a bit and Sabine and then you could just see her like running off in the distance. Like
every time someone with Force power runs now, I'm just go, Force running? No, it's never been repeated since Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I know, because it looks goofy as hell. There's sort of no way to really do it without it looking particularly goofy. But I did like that. And then, we kind of get to the meat of the episode, as you sort of hinted on before, Matt, which was Baylan and Ahsoka facing off in the hologram circle.
In the map hologram.
Yeah.
The CTOS mapping chart.
And he's just kind of sitting around waiting. He's basically just sitting. I mean, like you said, he was kind of going, I don't really want to have to kill her if I have to, just because I still kind of believe that the Jedi should exist. So the fact that one of them, you go from 2 to 1 when this is all said and done.
No, I mean, he was very knowledgeable, very knew all about her, Anakin. And he knows his way around.
Yeah, it didn't. I mean, she did the old kind of like, oh, I don't know who you are. Yeah, it was from like Lock, Stock. Have you seen Lock, Stock and Smoking Barrels? And they're just like, oh, you're JD's son. And he's like, that's right. Sorry, don't know who your dad was. It's a bit sort of. She was a bit like, oh, you know who I am. Sorry, I'm not aware of whoever the hell you're supposed to be. And I was kind of hoping that, as I've been saying all along, I've been kind of hoping that there's a direct connection between how Anakin fits in this. I was hoping he'd kind of monologue, give a bit of backstory.
This talk that Baylan was Qui-Gon's apprentice or something. I don't know. At some stage.
Maybe too.
They might be just old. Forum. No, he's not too old.
How old? Well, if he's the same age as Ray Stevens, he'd be about 60.
65.
Yeah, okay. But that was how old Obi-Wan would almost have been by that time.
Yeah, so. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. I was kind of hoping that he'd give... Like I said, he was sort of saying a lot of stuff, but he wasn't really giving much away. But I suppose we've still got a few more episodes of twists and turns to go to. So, I don't know. What do you reckon, Catherine? Did you sort of think he was going to spill his guts?
It would have been good to have something. I think I expected a bit more conversation during the lightsaber fight, but in some ways it's good that they didn't, because that is very, as you say, tropey. But yeah, I'd like to get a bit more of a backstory on him, how he knows Anakin or how well he knows Anakin, why he left the Order, or if he didn't leave the Order, how he survived 66 and what happened to him for him to then have an orange lightsaber and to be seemingly, if not on the side of dark, definitely not on the side of light. And yeah, what does he expect? Does he want Thrawn to rebuild the Empire and then place himself as Emperor of it? Or what does he want? Does he want to rebuild the Jedi Order in his image?
Yep. So what's basically Thrawn? Because he's really just, I mean, at the moment he's just a mercenary. So he's kind of doing it for money or resources, but to a point. But it seems like he's got an end game here where he's going, well, I'll just do this and I'll help these nutbags out, because ultimately it'll serve my purpose at the end. And why now at this point? We've gone through all of this. Like, he's obviously been in the shadows all this time because nobody's known that he's around. So he's made his move now and aligned himself with these people. He might have been a mercenary, but maybe not flashing his Jedi credentials quite as much, so no one's really noticed him as much. But he's been pretty open about what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, he said in the previous episode, power like you've never seen before. So what does he expect to get out of that? Like, I
still think he's after the world between worlds, but I'm not quite sure how that ties in with Thrawn. Unless Thrawn's going to go back in time and Mikkelsen it like the other one, but potentially. I've got a feeling they'll sort of explain that kind of stuff, but we'll see. But he did confirm that he obviously knew Anakin to some point, or at least knew of him. But it seems like everybody kind of knew who he was.
Well, everyone knows Anakin. He's the chosen one.
I did like that he said that Anakin was, I can't remember the exact wording, but well known within the Jedi Order, that all the Jedi seem to know of Anakin, at least.
Yep.
You know, like he's that one student that the whole school knows about.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I always think about the Jedi Order, and say if there's a few thousand Jedi, how often do you know many? Was it the fact that he was sort of the chosen one, that he worked in a higher circle? He interacted with the council directly more. A lot of the other ones might have just been sent on dispatches, a bit more lowly. That, I don't know. Was he sort of like at a boardroom level kind of thing? I mean, he did become a Jedi. Well, he was on the council. He didn't become a master. Sorry, that's very clear. But
he was very high profile. Like, he was doing things. He in the Clone Wars TV show, he was doing so many missions and kicking ass, and at such a young age that he was the prince of the Jedi Order. Yeah.
And he knew, obviously, the thing is also, Balin knew that he was Darth Vader as well.
Yeah. He said few would live to see what he became. So he's full on. He knows everything from head to toe, and he's given her barbs the whole time about everything that you lead to is death and destruction. Like, he's a very learned about everything.
She's like, you walked out on him as well, and even when he became Darth Vader, you walked out on him as well. Like, you didn't go and. I mean, she only found out later on that he was Darth Vader, but
he switched on, very switched on.
He was particularly good. I sort of thought he had a bit of a stick up his butt the first episode race, but he was excellent in this episode. He was the MVP this week. So Ray, you win it.
Yeah, his measured approach very much suited it this week of remaining very calm while throwing barbs to get Ahsoka off balance.
And it seems like the map is just the map. I don't know whether the space whales have got anything to do with it now. It seems that once you've got the coordinates, you kind of just punch the coordinates in and away it goes. It doesn't. We had all this sort of theorizing last week that the space whales would lead the way. You needed them and blah blah blah. And I mean, maybe they might
needed them. It's a map of what the whales
go to
migratory route. So it's a map of that route.
You saw in the pointed area, right? The space whales were the circle framing the point of Peridea. So, like, it's not that the I don't know, who knows? Just these whales go to special places that only they can go to. So this is a map to that and how you get it. And she's obviously built the technology to get there.
Yeah.
And now has the special coordinates. So,
and he's destroyed the map. But of course, as we know, Chopper put a tracking device on the hyperspace in the second episode. Exactly. So I assume that's how they'll track him.
Well, maybe.
Or do
you think? I have a feeling they're just going to go and come straight back.
Do you reckon?
But that's
what do they need to do out there other than pick him up?
Well, they've got to find him in this whole other galaxy because he's not going to have been sitting there for, 10 years or whatever it is since he went there. He's going to be flying around that galaxy.
He'll be there waiting outside the Uber Express pickup joint, ready to go.
He's got like his little rolly suitcase.
Let's go.
Yeah, so they've got to locate him within that galaxy because all it was a map to that migratory route. Now, that was where Ezra and Thrawn would have gone to those however many years ago. Then they were dropped off there, and then they could have flown anywhere from there.
Yeah, so it'll all depend on how much they know.
What if the Chimera is just sitting there in orbit, ready to go?
Why would it be?
Well, I guess
why wouldn't it be?
Well, it depends on where you can go and what state the ship's in. If they're still like literally stranded there and they haven't been able to get the ship,
what if he's taken over that entire galaxy, ready to go? I was like, right, these
with what army?
or if they've just sitting in there,
and
it's just Ezra and Thrawn just sitting in there with like long beards, and they've just eaten the last stormtrooper, and nothing's happened. So it's potential. So I that's the whole thing. So it's either do you go there and stop them and try and stop them from getting back at all, or do you wait for them to get back? But I guess the whole thing is if they think that they can get there, if it's the tracker that Chopper's put on or something else, or whether it's the tracker and the whales or whatever, and they think that they can follow them there, I think they'll still go to try and get Ezra regardless. Like and if they can stop Thrawn at the same time, they'll want to do that as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I mean, at the moment, so as you said, there was a bit of a fight that went on. Ahsoka grabbed the map, seemed to burn her hand pretty badly, or do something, give her a shock or a burn, and then that helped Baylan get the upper hand, and he basically, like you said, knocked her off the cliff. She falls in the water. And
we don't know.
Well, allegedly,
wherever she falls off the cliff.
See it.
We saw.
She falls off.
No body, no crime. And then Sabine turns up, and this is a lot of like, I don't know.
Oh, Sabine.
She
easily.
She Star-Lorded it in Avengers. She blew it at the opportune moment. But Baylan got in her head, knew all about her.
Corrupted her with family and the promise of Ezra. Oh, dear Sabine. We have a common goal, and then just hands it over.
Did you think there was going to be the ships running at the last second before she managed to hand it over? Or, I don't know, I felt like...
Yep.
Nah.
Yep.
No?
5 X-Wings and the Ghost were never going to stop that giant ring.
I was half expecting the whole time that Ahsoka fell and we didn't see her hit anything, and that at some point she'd be lifted up behind while standing on an X-Wing or standing
Marty
on the
McFly
Ghost or something.
on the DeLorean or something sort of stuff.
Basically, yeah.
Or maybe climbing the mountain with Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible 2 or something on the rock face.
Yeah.
It didn't look like it was that long of a drop. And it was in the water.
Yes.
As long as you can avoid the rocks, you're okay. So, yes, essentially Hera and the X-Wings turn up sort of just outside the nick of time, essentially, and the big hyperspace ring almost pulls there's a slight hold-on maneuver.
Hold-on maneuver, yes.
It did clean up. Well, it could have cleaned up a couple of X-Wing.
Took out the
non-essential, yeah.
Poor Rodian.
Non-named character.
Probably that was the first assistant director or somebody else who was cameoing.
Yeah, 2 nobodies, but Carson survives conveniently.
Yeah. It's going to take more than that to polish him off. So that's
Kill the Rhodian.
That's why it's always dangerous to take your kid on those kind of missions. But anyway, so that was very cool. I did enjoy that. It was good seeing a little bit of carnage there. And then the hyperspace ring flew off, and it's like, man, if we turned up like when we were supposed to, we could have just shot that thing out of the sky and be done with it and stopped the whole operation. But nobody listens to me around here.
It's pretty big. I think you'd need.
But they were originally they were going to bring the fleet. But I'm sure if they got there and spotted it, they're like, all right, bring the fleet in. Let's just blow this thing up, or at least park in front of it so it can't go anywhere. Potentially. So they do that, but before then they take Sabine aboard on the ship. So I'm assuming there'll be an Ezra reunion now.
Yes, one would think.
So I'm really glad that this really progressed this episode. I think I said at the start that things really sort of kicked off, and we sort of thought maybe it would be the last episode before we even got anything. But we're only halfway through, and sort of all bets are off now.
Yeah, we're completely blind because there's nothing from the trailers, at least where I stopped watching trailers, no shots.
Yep.
Apart from Yes, Your Man.
Me and Jimmy's man.
Well, there's the shot from the back that was in the original thing, and now there was also the one when you saw him from the front that came in the later trailer. Yeah. So that's the two shots.
I'm pretty sure they were the same location on the bridge of the hyperspace ring.
Mm-hmm. Oh, do you think it was the hyperspace ring he was on, not on his Star Destroyer?
Yeah, because it looked far more like that, and the lighting was that goldy type of thing that's happening in that ring.
I'll have to go back and have a closer look. So, yeah, I think it's all about to kick off.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Will we get the... Oh, it does look a bit like it, doesn't it? Matt's showing the photo up in the thing.
Camera.
Yes.
Is that in the Is that daylight outside though?
Yeah, that's Morgan Elsbeth when she gets to the other side of.
I know,
wherever.
But they must be in the atmosphere somewhere then. If it's daylight outside,
I don't think it's daylight. I think that
maybe
looked like something else.
Mm-hmm. Talking about a picture on a podcast is always a bit difficult. But look, so that happens. Ahsoka wakes up. She's not in the water. She's not on top of a rock somewhere. She hasn't sort of washed onto shore or anything like that. She picks herself up and she's in a woozy blue and white crazy area. And most of the people who are watching Star Wars who haven't watched Rebels are just go, what the hell is this? What am I looking at?
Perfection.
This opens a real can of worms for me. I'm still not sure how I feel about all this.
It's only a can of worms if they meddle with space and time. If they just...
Well, they're already showing a character who's been dead for 5 years, and they're showing him when he was in his 20 years younger. So they're either... And he's not a ghost. He's a fully formed dude. He's not blue and shimmery. He's as solid as he was, wherever he, standing around doing his thing. I don't know, Catherine. What do you think about this? It wasn't bad. The de-aging wasn't amazing, but it was all right.
Yeah, it was all right. Like, obviously, it wasn't the bright sunshine that there was during Kenobi, so that's always good.
Yep.
But yeah, it was definitely more of a Clone Wars look to Anakin in the darker outfit.
In the tunic. Yeah. So he had the Revenge of the Sith outfit on, didn't he? I'll have to have a closer look.
He looked good.
He didn't have the Clone Wars. It was Anakin before, basically Revenge of the Sith Anakin before he turned to the dark side.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And canonically, we know that she saw Anakin just before the events of Revenge of the Sith, because that's when the Mandalore, when she was on Mandalore to fight Darth Maul.
Do they interact? I'm just trying to remember. Are they in the same room together, or are they just on a video message?
Yeah. No, because she turns up and they have a conversation, and he gives her the lightsabers, and it says, "Yep, here's the 501st," and they're painted. But yeah, they have a full on conversation, and basically say, "Yeah, we'll see you soon," because Obi-Wan gets the message about the Chancellor, and then they're ordered to go to Coruscant to do all that shenanigans. So that's basically when that episode is taking place, and then later in those run of episodes is when Order 66 happens.
He goes downhill pretty quick, doesn't he? Really, all things considered. Like it even seems less fanciful, really, when you throw in Ahsoka in there as well. That, or he all of a sudden he feels like he's got no one to talk to, and he's lost. He doesn't trust Obi-Wan, and yet he's just seen one of his most trusted friends like the day before, and doesn't sort of bring her, or even talking about like, I'm worried that Padme's going to die and blah blah blah. But I guess he feels like he can't tell her. Anyway, it is what it is. That's the story.
Because she's not technically part of the Jedi Order anymore, and he knows that she was set up as having committed that crime, and she didn't do it, and the Jedi Order didn't believe her and didn't fight for her or try to investigate. They basically abandoned her, and that sort of was another little brick in the wall of him not trusting the Jedi Order. So he was down the path. Admittedly, yes, it does feel a bit quick, that fall. It's when you sort of see things in the context of the Clone Wars animated series, it works a little bit better, but it's still not perfect.
No. So he's not a ghost in this World Between Worlds.
Well, we don't know that,
but he's not shimmering like a ghost. So if he is a ghost, he's not he's not presenting like previous Force ghosts.
But he might not even be a lie. He might be a memory. He might be the Force.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't think it's a live Anakin Skywalker from Revenge of the Sith, and I don't think it's dead Anakin Skywalker. I think it's memory.
He's just about to. He's in limbo. He might be deciding if he's going to go to heaven or Force Ghost Town, or.
But it could be like Harrison Ford was in. What's the movie? The one that Rise of Skywalker.
A memory.
Yeah, like that would. I mean, that there's a pre-established thing
that could be
happened.
That too. Like, it could be a full Gandalf style. You still have stuff to do in this world. Go back. I'm just a memory. Who knows?
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember those episodes, but when Ezra was in the World Between Worlds, did he see visions of?
Wasn't Palpatine in there?
Palpatine.
Palpatine was in the World Between Worlds too, trying to.
Oh, he was actually in there. It wasn't just a vision.
His hand was in there, and he was sending blue Force crap in through.
Yeah,
and he sort of finds a way in. That's what he was. That Hydra guy was trying to find him access to the World Between Worlds, and he sort of figured it out just at the last second. Ezra jumped out. Ahsoka jumped out back to her place, and then. We're back on the time frame. How good! Rebels is so good. this. Oh, I love Rebels.
Yeah, it's all going to be execution dependent for me.
It's so I can feel the worms at your feet right now. You just
I'm glad. I like seeing Hayden Christensen back. I like seeing Anakin Skywalker back, but I mean, there's already a very convenient way that Star Wars does to bring back dead people to talk to characters, especially ones who can use the Force. So they purposely haven't done it that way. They've used this way to do it. So hopefully this plays into obviously it's going to play into the plot somehow. How they're going to talk about it, what's the knock on, what's the repercussions, all that kind of stuff. I think we'll just have to wait and see. But I don't know. Skating on thin ice for me.
I'm happy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, this is feeling like Star Wars prepared to be a bit weird. I'm enjoying it far more than Mandalorian Season 3.
Yeah. Absolutely.
and I am interested. I like that. I have no idea what's coming in the next few episodes, and it's interesting. I like where Sabine is in that she, in some ways, she didn't follow the instructions of Ahsoka twice. And
come on, Nate. Again, you're not 12. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But you've made a couple of bad calls twice now in regards to that ball thing. And I know that, like, Ezra's your mate. Does she love Ezra? Like, are they lovers, or is she just, like, her friend?
They were brother and sister in Rebels.
No, they weren't. So he got friend zoned early, but then she's developed feelings now, and he's friend zoned her back on the thing. But you think
she just gets there and he's just got a girlfriend, and he's just like, oh, this is awkward. This is Stacey. Well, we've been together 8 years now. We've got 2 kids.
This is my girlfriend, Mara Jade.
Look at her cool red hair. No, I just assumed you would have moved on. I've been gone for a long time, but it's nice to see you, I guess. What have you been up to? Yeah, I don't know. But like you said, Catherine, she's made a couple of big boo-boos so far. She's let the emotions get the better of her a couple of times now, and she's given that map away twice. And as far as she knows, she will get to go see Ezra potentially, but yeah,
it's still a long shot. I mean, she's taking a chance that when they get over there, A, Ezra's alive. B, if he is alive, they'll let her find him. C, if he's alive and they let her find him, they'll let her bring him back.
Yeah.
Because none of that was promised by Baylan.
I think in the context of, storytelling efficiency, I think the Star Destroyer is just going to be there when they get there. Like, I think they're going to jump out and it's just going to be sitting there. Like, I think that they're not going to burn an episode.
They're not going to
cruising
burn
around
3 episodes
trying to find
Thrawn.
Nah, I think they'll just pull out of the thing and they'll just be like, it'll probably just be floating in space like a incapacitated Star Destroyer. But I think they're just like, yep, we're here.
Gone fishing down below.
Yeah. Like, maybe there's only bits of the ship that's habitable or whatever. I mean, maybe they pick up Thrawn and they just dump Sabine on the ship and they're like, see you later, loser. And they take off or something along those lines. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You wanted to see him? Here you go. You stay here in limbo. We know, no one else can get back. We're out of here. Have a stormtrooper arm in barbecue sauce.
Yeah, I think that's... Yeah, maybe the Star Destroyer crashed into a planet once they got over the other side, and Ezra and Thrawn are just hanging out somewhere there on that planet because they can't get off the planet. They get picked up. Sabine gets chucked down there and went, yeah, I didn't promise to bring you back.
No.
I'm honouring my promise. I'm honouring my word. I did not promise to bring you back.
I promised that you'd see your friend.
Yeah.
I'd like to see some crazy sort of, if they figure out the way to get over there to get them back. So say whatever it is, if it's the tracker that Chopper's put on the hyperspace, but they follow the space whales or a bit of column A, but like, I want to see them get the ghost and strap it to a space whale or do some kind of crazy engineering maneuver to get the ghost to be able to do that kind of hyperspace jump. I'm all for that.
Yep. Let's do it.
Let's jerry rig this thing together and do some kind of wacky space travel sort of thing. And get over there and bring them back. And then, I don't know. Like, it's an interesting, because if we do get Thrawn in the next episode, like, where do we go from here? Like, we kind of thought, oh, well, he'll turn up at the end and then you'll set up for the movie or you'll do whatever else. But I like the idea that there's still 4 episodes to go and we could just necessarily be right in it. Like, maybe this thing escalates.
Well, it's about to get very juicy. Filoni's got some big, big plans. Are we going to see Han Solo, Chewie, Cad Bane.
I
God.
feel like we've moved. The story's kind of moved. I mean, I sort of thought that we might see Leia, and I feel like the story's kind of moved away from that now. Like, I think it's established itself enough now where it's interesting enough with the things that we've got. It doesn't really need to lean on that, but hell, who knows? It could potentially happen.
Yes, who knows? But it's all very exciting for some.
So next week, before we wrap this up, Catherine, we're getting into the other side. Are we getting flashbacks? What are we getting? What's your quick prediction?
I think we're deep enough into the series that, flashbacks are needed or necessary or at least wanted. Something, please.
Matt, what about you, mate?
Something's coming. Something juicy from the prequels. Sorry. I think we might be seeing something very huge. Like it's going to be a Star Wars reference point forever.
You think a young Anakin, younger Ahsoka flashback mission, sort of Clone Warsy, doing some crazy moves, cutting down battle droid sequence sort of thing.
Well, there was talk about there was a scene from somewhere where there's that young chick from the House of Dragon.
Oh yeah, you said
Ahsoka,
that. Yeah.
So something might be coming, but I have what Ezra did in the World Between Worlds, went to Kanan's pivotal moment where he saved, basically everyone and Lothal with that sacrifice. What's Anakin's most pivotal moment? Is it the fight with Obi-Wan on Mustafar? Could we see that? And Ahsoka get involved? I don't know. It's going to be odd but awesome.
I'd say his most pivotal moment is in the Chancellor's office. That's when he decides to turn and throw Mace Windu out the window.
Windu out the window. We get a Samuel L. Jackson cameo if we go back. He's talked about wanting to come back. This would be a perfect.
They've got his deep fake, surely.
They've already youngified Sam Jackson a bunch of times, so they've got all the tech. Yeah. They could stick him in
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, and they shot half of that Secret Invasion show on a blue screen with Samuel L. Jackson, so they could have just said knock out a few Mace Windu lines and put that potentially. Like you said, it's Filoni's episode. He might just be going, "This is it." I'm gonna do some stuff. But I feel like that you need some context for this Anakin Ahsoka thing. I feel like you do need some flashback context to whatever it is, just to establish to the audience what their relationship was and blah blah blah. Because again, a lot of people wouldn't have seen Clone Wars.
No.
And they sort of know that they're involved in some way, but
they'll be like, "What the hell is this guy doing back? He died ages ago."
Exactly. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. We really clocked on the hour. A very good episode, the best Star Wars TV since Andor, I think, without a shadow of a doubt. But certainly better than anything that got served up in Mando season 3, and the best episode of this series so far.
It's getting a bit harsh on Lizzo. Get him calm down.
That wasn't even the worst episode in that. That was a harmless episode that went nowhere. It wasn't the worst. That show had way more problems than that Lizzo episode.
That was.
It was an odd episode, but it wasn't endemic of the problems with that series. It was just that was an outlier to the. If anything, at least that had some different ideas. Something else. Anyway, we're not here to brag on Mando 3. We can't start now. We're just winding up. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for the nice messages about the 200th episode too. By the way, which was was just a numbered episode we put out, but we got a lot of nice messages and some retweets and some kind things that were said. So now we start at 1. Now we're 201 as we crawl towards 300. Whenever that will be.
Well, 250s first.
Well, yes, that's true. We'll get to that first. So, thank you, Catherine, as always.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you, Catherine.
So, blue makeup next week, mate?
Next week. Maybe.
Maybe it's our first...
YouTube.
Maybe it's our first videoed episode we do if you've got the blue makeup on.
I'll do my best. I can barely make it on time, fully clothed.
I know, you're just going, well, I just got my son to bed, but now I need 20 minutes to put blue makeup on.
I can't imagine it take very long to put the makeup on.
No.
It'll be a very poor man effort.
Very old hat at it. I'm sure you're a very handsome man. I'm sure there's a bit of foundation work that goes on behind the scenes and stuff like that. I don't think that just happens naturally. I think there's something that goes on.
Oh, thank you, Josh. You're making me blush.
All right.
Just skin crawl.
Thanks very much, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.